Manishi, we move to part 2 video. Now, apart from what you spoke in part 1, are there any other suggestions that you would like to make to the law faculty, particularly with regard to copyright law?
Okay, yes. Basically, if you're talking about the teaching patterns,
Yes.
like how copyright law should be taught,
Yes.
I would say yes. It actually requires a lot of changes in the current pattern which is going on, and I would again like to share some of my experiences also that a US system of teaching is actually required for teaching IPR. And how it is like in India, we have a system of that the students gather in a classroom and a teacher delivers a lecture. Students go back, revise, sit for examinations, and that's how the process is. Whereas in US, it's a reverse process. They say you read first, come to the classroom, and then we'll have discussion. So I'll just again share another anecdote with what happened when I was at Harvard Law School. I passed out from Campus Law Center, Delhi University, CLC, and law faculty. And when we used to read here at that time, talking about 30 years more than that now, that we used to read here on an average around 10, 20, 25 pages a day on an average for a year.
Yes.
That was the basically reading. And when I landed at the Harvard Law School, and my second day after our introduction was completed, I was on the second day, the class was asked, like we had different classes of copyright, patents, trademarks, designs, and everything. So each subject, the teacher used to say that these are 200 pages of this book. You have to read these and come back tomorrow. So I thought in the evening, when 4 o'clock we dispersed, and 9 o'clock again in the morning was the class. So I thought I have to read 600 to 800 pages tonight to come to the class tomorrow. So I thought I'm at a wrong place. I've never been into such situation, but I already had taken a dip into the swimming pool. So I thought I need to swim through. So I started trying to inculcate this habit of reading and habit of reading between the lines and things like that. And then definitely I thank today my alma mater also, like Harvard, to making me so reader friendly that today even at the courts, because I do certain matters at the court too. So when we do certain things at the High Court or the Supreme Court level, we get matters which are coming from a small district court or somewhere. So the files are heavy. So one has to read between the lines to actually get through things. So that is how it makes a difference. So at that time, why I'm coming back to the point is that discussing in the class. So whoever is not read well will not understand anything in the classroom. But definitely who has read, he can take part in the discussion, he can communicate well, and then the understanding becomes too good. And especially when you're discussing a particular case. So the facts and the circumstances and especially many other things comes into picture.
Okay. Now, I would request that if you can cite the name of some important journals, titles, as well as authors to a group of law faculty teaching IPR, copyright law, so that they are better informed and they can undertake their duties effectively.
Yes, in fact, today we have a lot of plethora of material available on copyright and other intellectual property rights, and that is like today we have a lot of online material available, which is of quite useful too. But I'll start something from the journals. Like if we talk about Indian journals, purely the journals which contain articles and the book reviews and things like that. We have a lot of journals, but on intellectual property rights, we have very few journals. And especially these days, I've seen in the couple of last decade or so, quite a number of national law schools have their own intellectual property law departments. So those departments have started their journals. like the Journal of Intellectual Property Rights by the National Law University, Bangalore, even by Nalsar, Hyderabad. They have separate journals, maybe some quarterly journals, which contains articles by very eminent jurists, eminent professors, as well as by the law students also who are studying there. So that makes a platform for everybody to contribute as well as for the readers to read. So that is the journal. Whereas talking about the law reporters now,
Yes.
like reporters like the very famous report, it's called RPC, that is Report of Patent Cases. It's um, that Report of Patent Cases, the name is RPC, but it reports cases on trademarks as well as copyrights too.
Okay.
Similarly, there is another Indian journal which is called Patent and Trademark Cases, but it again has name is Patent and Trademark Cases, but copyright is a major part of it, because copyright is one of the quite a lot of litigious issues in the copyright itself. So these kind of reporters are there, which a law teacher has to go through very regularly. And also these days, like we have online, like SCC Online or Manupatra and LexisNexis, Westlaw, all these have a scrutinized. Like if we go there, you can tilt on to IPR, you can tilt further to copyright, and they'll give you the cases of copyright ranging from whatever you want, from years to years, and from the latest ones. So there are lot of law journals on copyrights available that way. And then coming to
The
titles, the books.
Yes.
Books, the Bible, I would say, in copyright, which is an English book. It's Coppinger and Stone James, which is a voluminous book on copyright, but it is said to be the Bible of copyright law.
Quite comprehensive.
Very
Yes.
comprehensive, and it has been quoted numerous times, not only in foreign judgments but in Indian judgments. Even if you see Supreme Court and High Court judgments, you'll find this book quoted invariably.
Okay.
And then, if we're talking about the Indian context of that, we have Narayanan's book on copyright, which is good. Then is B.L. Vadhera's book on IPR, which has a copyright section, which is again a very good textbook. So these kind of books are again there in the which would assist a law teacher to actually refer and to quote from the books, and for the
Now,
teaching
apart
issues.
from Narayana, which you mentioned, and Vadera, can you mention some other authors also
Yes, there are.
who have worked?
There are, in fact, there are a lot of authors who have worked on copyrights otherwise. And in fact, including myself, I have also
Okay.
written a book on copyright law.
Okay.
But there are some textbooks, definitely.
Okay.
There are some good textbooks available in the market on copyright. And basically, they are on intellectual property rights, where copyright becomes a part of it.
And now, in case if some students they develop interest in IPR and copyright law, so what are their job opportunities, placement scope for them?
Yes, because that's the most important thing, that anybody who is specializing or studying a
Would
particular
like
law,
to know where can he
yes,
sort of
where
be
can he go?
absorbed.
So that and these days I've seen the students actually in their very initial years decide that what they want to do, whether
Yes.
they want to go for a corporate practice, they want to do what. So IPR, I would say, it has a lot of opportunities. Starting from an independent practice, yes, that is a lot
Yes.
of we have a lot of copyright lawyers in all the major cities in India. Then there are law firms, and each law firm has an IPR department
Okay.
where copyright is a matter of concern for them. So they employ young lawyers, make
Who
them
have
partners,
specialized
who are
and
specialized,
interested, yes.
interested. And then there are specialized IPR law firms also,
Okay.
who are not a general practice law firms, but they are only into IPR.
Okay.
So their specific is into IPR. So they have departments like copyrights, patents, trademarks, it within them itself.
Okay.
So they also that's the basic the best opportunity which the students can get. Apart from that, students can there are, like, in the ministries, especially in the Ministry of HRD, where the copyright comes from, and the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, where the patents and trademarks comes from. So they also have regular recruitments.
Staff, yeah, recruitment.
Regular recruitments where they employ obviously lawyers. They have to have a degree, so they employ them in their staff. Then there are other opportunities, I would say, would be the copyright societies. there is a specific provision under the Copyright Act of copyright societies. And these copyright societies actually work in the benefit of the copyright holders. So
Okay.
these copyright societies are, there are many copyright societies who are registered under the Copyright Act. So they also actually involve lawyers with them, because they have to file cases, file registrations, file some applications, or file some complaints and things like that. So they also keep on adding on. Apart from that, there are like opportunities abroad. Even foreign law firms who come to India for taking the best from the law schools and they interview, they also look for students who have some specialization in IPR or who have some interest in IPR, because then they, when they get back to their own country, they don't find any problems for the local laws. It's an international law. So when whoever had studied IPR here in India can very smoothly get involved and get settled in
Yes.
US or UK and elsewhere. And another opportunity which comes to my mind is the employment with United Nations and WIPO, World
Okay.
Intellectual Property Organization. They keep on recruiting people for research and for the actually permanent placements at the United Nations centers, at the WIPO centers, and so there are enormous opportunities for a lawyer who wish to do something further in the intellectual property
And
rights.
likewise will be the need or the scope for internship, because these are the
Yes.
places where the students, while they are during in the currency of their law teaching, law studies,
Yeah.
they can do the internship.
In that, I would like to add one more thing
Yes.
about the internship.
Yes.
Because these days the law schools have also a process like internships. Is like, one is like you are interning with a law firm or with a lawyer or at a organization, but others is also like they are these days they take it on a same ground. Is your some credits you get for a course which you do on
Okay.
intellectual property rights. So there are a lot of summer schools which have come up,
Okay.
and especially like World Intellectual Property Organization organizes many summer schools across the world, even in India.
They are also useful.
So they, if somebody in its summer holidays do a course which will be equivalent for an internship. So
Okay.
the universities
That's
give them the
also
equivalent.
very relevant.
So
Very
that also
relevant.
gets fun.
And lastly, my last question is, would you like to identify some landmark decisions, particularly of courts in India, which you would advise the faculty to keep in mind?
Yes, in fact, as of now, because the intellectual property rights, the law has grown so much, and we have a lot of decisions by the Supreme Court itself, which we definitely quote every time when we are teaching. But few, I would say, which are important ones, starting from copyright. A couple of them will include, one is Rajagopal's case, Rajagopal versus State of Tamil Nadu, where it was a case of a prisoner who had written his biography during his prison time, and a right to privacy was there that he wanted to publish it, and the police authorities never wanted him to publish, the prison authorities, because they thought he might reveal certain things. So that was a very wonderful case which we teach, like
Okay.
how a copyright holder can actually do what he wants without getting any pressure on the right to privacy. And on the other hand, then like we have another case of these
If you just enumerate the name of the case, I think
Yeah.
Palkhiwala is also important, because right at
Yes,
the beginning of
at
his
the beginning
career,
of his career, yes.
Kanga and Palkhiwala.
Kanga and
Yes.
Palkhiwala, yes, that's
Yes,
that's
yes.
an important case of the Income Tax
Yes,
Act
yes.
itself. And then there was a case of Eastern Book Company versus DB Modak, which was
Okay.
a case again as an important one. And on patents, if you say, I would say Novartis case
Yes,
versus Union of
which
India.
is
That's
recently of recent.
patent.
So the faculty should
greening
keep-
of patent.
faculty
so these
should
kind of
keep-
cases definitely
yes,
faculty should
keep in mind
mind.
before they undertake teaching.
Very right.
Thank you very much, Manishi. Your lecture was very informative, interesting, and I'm sure this would hugely impact and inform the emerging law faculty to take up the teaching of IPR in general and copyright in particular. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.